Alright, what's up guys? So this is my new 2018 Textron Wildcat XX. So far I love it. Haven't really had a chance to get too much seat time in it yet, but before I do I wanted to install some harnesses in it. So picked up a set of the Tusk harnesses. Really good quality. They're about half the price of, you know, whatever you'd pay for PRP or Pro Armors, things like that. And without the Tusk badge, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. They're really nice. I like the way they got the hardware all black. This is Velcro, so that's nice. But yeah, they're hard coated, you know, powder coated black. Looks pretty durable, real nice. The other side's got the I don't know exactly what it's made of, maybe some kind of leather, but to keep the buckle from pinching you. The real reason I'm doing this video though is not as a review for those, but just kind of a general idea of what you got to do to put them in. And you know, it's simple, pretty straightforward for the most part, but there are a few things that are a little bit different than most side-by-sides. So as you see, I already got the driver's side wrapped around the harness bar. That's super simple. There's directions if you really need some, but that's pretty straightforward. I really like on the XX, it's already got the harness bars ready for it. The seats also have the cutouts. Let's see if I can show you real quick. So the seats already come with the cutouts for the harnesses, which is really nice. So you don't have to dump a bunch of money on buying new seats or cutting holes in your factory seats. So aside from that, you know, I pulled the seats out, obviously. The driver's side, just like the Polaris or any other make, really has a latch. So you pull the latch and the seat comes right out. The passenger side, however, is held in by two 10mm bolts right here in the front, right in front of the gas tank. And other than that, I mean, the seats come out pretty easy. So that side is pretty accessible to get the factory seat belts out. This side being that the gas tank is right here. Kind of a pain. You're not really going to be able to get that bolt out. So what you got to do is you actually got to loosen the gas tank and shift it a little bit back or forward, whichever way you can get it, just enough so you can wiggle that bolt out. This side is actually probably not an issue. I'm pretty sure I can get the bolt out without worrying about the gas tank on this side. All the hardware, you know, pretty straightforward. You don't need too many tools. I think all I needed was a 18mm and a 16mm. So this is actually the mount that goes up here, you know, at the top. And for this is an 18mm nut on the back of the seatbelt retractor itself. And on the front is actually a T50 Torx, which you probably won't need. There's splines holding, let's see if I can focus for you, but there's splines holding it into the retractor bracket itself. So you actually just come around to the back side with your 18mm, and right where that hole is at, that's where that nut will be. So pretty straightforward. One of those things though, if you're not familiar with these, you don't want to, you know, start whacking away at that T50 right there and strip it out thinking, you know, that's how it comes off, because you really just need to get the nut off. Alright, back over here on the driver's side real quick so I can show you guys something. As far as tools, like I said, nothing too crazy. 18mm, 16mm wrench, and T25 Torx. So if you have ratcheting wrenches, they help out a lot, especially, you know, tight places like that. And on the driver's side, for the retractor nut on the back, it's in a pretty tight spot, so the ratcheting wrench definitely helps. And the T25 is just for this panel right here. There's a little screw in the back, so you can pop it, you know, pop it out a little bit so you can get down into the harness right there. There's a seatbelt plug, and what that's for is, you know, on the factory seatbelt on the driver's side, it's got this little plug right here, and that just tells the machine whether or not the seatbelt's fastened. So if the seatbelt's not fastened, it limits the vehicle's speed to 15 miles an hour. And what happens is when you're installing harnesses and you unplug that, it's the same thing. It's going to limit the vehicle's speed to 15 miles an hour. So there's two ways to go about fixing that. You can either just cut off the factory seatbelt from the plug and splice these two wires together. Or what I did is I actually purchased a plug from Brute Performance. So it's just like the factory plug, but the wires are already pre-connected. So this is 15 bucks with shipping. I figured I'd rather do that. Keeps things a little cleaner, and if I ever wanted to plug the factory seatbelts back in, or put them back on rather, I could do so without having to resplice any wires or cut anything up. So just another thing, you know, keep things clean. I'm gonna get these harnesses buttoned back up, finish them off, put the seats in, and I'll show you guys how they look when they're done. All right, seats are back in, harnesses are all finished up. Not a hard job, but I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a pain in the ass. Just because trying to fit your hands in these tight little spaces with wrenches, not the most fun thing to do, but you know, it's not something you gotta do very often. Technically, you're supposed to replace your harnesses every 5 years or so, but I mean, I don't know too many people who really do that unless they're actually racing. Depending on where you live, I mean, if you're out in the sun a lot, yeah, the UV exposure is definitely going to dry them out and wear them out a little faster. But like I said, not something you got to do too often, so it's worth it for the safety. Definitely better than the stock belts. I really do like these. They're very similar to the Pro Armors in the fact that they do have the, you know, the water resistant pocket for your cell phone, mesh pocket for a little light, whatever you want to put in there. Hardware is very similar. Like I said, powder coated black. Very nice. I like the Velcro right here. Yeah, they're pretty comfortable. These are the 3-inch harnesses, by the way. I don't know if Tusk has 2-inch ones, but most manufacturers do have a 2 or a 3-inch. The 3 inches are usually a little more comfortable. Feel a little more secure to me. So, yeah, that's it. Nothing to it except busting up your knuckles trying to get everything in there. All right, guys, I wanted to point out something real quick before I end this video. So let me get a little closer here so I can show you. So being that these are the H-style 4-point harnesses, so they're not a traditional 4-point harness. So actually there's only 2 pieces that you have. Instead of like a traditional 4-point harness where the lap belts and shoulder harnesses are separate, these are actually sewn together. So it just makes it a little easier to get in and out of. You only have 2 things to clip together instead of 4. The problem with that, when you use a cutout like this where the harnesses actually pass through it, you can't take the seat out without actually removing the harnesses. So for the most part, that's not a huge deal. The driver's seat you really don't need to take out. There's not too much under there that you need to get to. However, the gas tank is under the passenger seat. So if you actually need to remove the gas tank, the harnesses have to come out too. If you need to just, you know, get to the fuel pump, you can actually just remove the seat and slide it forward, and you can get to it that way. So, I mean, depending on how often you need to take your seats out, that might be a deal breaker for you. You might, you know, want to opt for the traditional 4-point harnesses so that you can actually remove your seats and not have to remove the harnesses. It's just something I didn't really think about, being that my last side-by-side I had, it was a Razor. I had twisted stitch seats in it, so they actually had a removable headrest. So I was able to just remove the headrest and then slide the harnesses over to the sides of the seat, and I could get the whole seat out. So yeah, if you have cutouts like this and use an H-style, just keep in mind that you won't be able to completely remove the seat. I just wanted to wrap this video up real quick. Not really related to the harnesses, but to anybody out there that is considering getting a XX and you're on the fence about it, just buy one. They're completely worth it. I'm not going to get too much into it. I'm not trying to start a Polaris, Can-Am, Textron, Wildcat, whatever you want to call them, war, but these things are solid. They're built very solid. If you do your research, you know, even just go look at one in person and you'll see they are built very, very well. That's why my money went to Textron, is just because of the way these things are built. The cage, huge plus. I mean, the cage that comes stock on this is something that most guys would end up buying in the aftermarket for their Razor or Can-Am or whatever they have. I mean, it's already got triangulation in the rear. It's got intrusion bars up front. This thing's solid. With that being said, one thing about the triangulation, there is triangulation here on the side as well. So it makes it a little bit difficult to get in and out of, but there's a reason for it. I mean, there is, let's see if I can get in there for you. There's triangulation in this frame just about everywhere. I mean, if you know anything about cages and frame geometry, triangulation generally equals strength. So this may not be the fastest side-by-side on the market, and I'm not saying it is because it's not. It's, you know, it's not really a competitor with the Can-Am X3 Turbo or the Razor Turbo XP, but it's not meant to be. So technically this has the most horsepower in the naturally aspirated category. It's, you know, about 130 horsepower, which is plenty. But I mean, if your main concern is speed, this is fast, but there is faster out there. My main concern when I bought one was strength and durability. Full disclosure, I did have a Razor before this. And I'm not trying to knock Polaris, and I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but if you go into Polaris, I'm sure you have noticed some of their quality issues. So, I mean, I obviously can't attest to Textrons yet because I just got this. It's got 4 miles on it. I mean, it's brand new. But from the way it's built, I'm expecting great things out of it. Just from working on it a little bit, you know, I can tell certain things are, you know, certain things weren't overlooked when they were designing this. So, you need the fastest car. This probably isn't for you, but if you want something that's, you know, fast enough, it's got plenty of potential for, you know, forced induction. There's already superchargers and turbos on it, or on the market for it if you want to spend that kind of money. But yeah, there's a reason that this car is as heavy as it is. So like I said, the Razors, the regular 1000s are, you know, about 1,300 pounds. These are, I believe, a little over 1,800. So I mean, 500 pounds is a lot, but it shows. They added the weight in the right areas. This thing is built very, very solid. You look at just about anything on it, it's pretty much double the size of about, you know, anything on the Razor or Can-Ams. And I don't know how many of you have actually seen like the bulkhead on a Can-Am. Like I said, I'm not trying to piss anybody off or start any wars or anything like that. But if you look at the bulkhead on a Can-Am, you know, where the A-arms and everything mount, the tubing they use it's embarrassing. It looks like fence tubing. And after seeing that, because honestly, that's what I wanted before I started looking at the Textron. I wanted an X3. But after seeing that, that thing looks like it would fold like a piece of paper in a rollover. So that kind of turned me off to the Can-Am. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions about the XX in general or the harnesses, whatever, just let me know.